August 31st, 2019, Chicago, Illinois. It is the first ever official pay-per-view under the banner of this new company called All Elite Wrestling. The revolution in the wrestling world was finally here. Establishing early on its high athletic style and in-ring storytelling, the work rate of these signees is second to none. A clear and emphatic statement was being made by all involved. Goodbye are the out-of-touch booking choices and terrible gimmicks.
Finally, realism was back in the world of professional wrestle. Who's that guy with the best friends? Wait, why is he kicking like that? Are those freaking jeggings? Since his debut, Orange Cassidy has not only been the most polarizing figure in All Elite Wrestling, but in professional wrestling as a whole. In a company that took most of its inspiration from Japanese strong style and the high work rate of indie wrestling that came before it, Orange Cassidy was an interesting signing to say the least.
Hey, but I guess I get it. Every company could use a good comedy guy. Someone for the kids, a palate cleanser before the ultra-athletic main event that we were going to be accustomed to every Wednesday. Little did we know Orange Cassidy, the King of Sloth Style, would not only be one of the most popular wrestlers in All Elite Wrestling, he would be one of the greatest champions in the company's history. Let's go ahead and rewind the clock and take a deep dive into the biggest matches of Orange Cassidy's career, and why his rise to championship gold and subsequent title reign makes this freshly squeezed man so damn refreshing.
Let's go ahead and grab a glass of something freshly squeezed, throw on your favorite pair of jeggings, and then, I don't know man, throw on whatever white t-shirt you have lying around, because this is the story of Orange Cassidy, the workhorse of AEW. Or whatever.
And I am a proper bastard.
When I first saw Orange Cassidy on AEW programming, I had mixed feelings. How can I care about a wrestler who doesn't care?
Either way, he was fun to watch, regardless of what segment he was given on Dynamite. Whether he was jumping off the top rope in a turkey suit or talking about chilies, OC could always get a laugh out of me. Sure, he had spurts of athleticism, and we were all surprised by it. The spiritual embodiment of Snorlax was not one of those wrestlers who would go backstage and pick fights due to this hunger for combat. He rather just walked backstage with his hands in his pockets, and oh, silly him, he walked in on someone's interview. Oh, bastard.
Pac out of everyone on the AEW roster has to be the complete opposite to Orange Cassidy. A no-nonsense technician, Pac eats, sleeps, and breathes combat. And whether it was out of pure annoyance, a perceived lack of respect, or offense, both men were set to face off for the very first time at AEW's first ever Revolution pay-per-view. And little did we all know this would define Orange Cassidy as much as his trademark shades.
Well, Revolution somehow keeps getting better and better.
These two probably put on the cheekiest barn burner I've ever had the pleasure of seeing, and I highly recommend you go out of your way to watch it. While Cassidy didn't win the match on the night, he won over a large number of fans. As the pandemic was on the horizon, many people found bummers in their feuds and crowning achievements in the wrestling world. Some of these would include Drew McIntyre's climb to the top of the WWE ladder not happening in front of fans, the cancellation of the first ever Blood and Guts match, and even just the logistics of putting on a weekly wrestling show. And this sounds odd to say, but with the COVID era professional wrestling and no fans were allowed in the audience, somehow this guy became even more popular. While the match with Pac at Revolution was great, it was just that, a match. Every single one of the greats has their legacies built off of their feuds. Brett and Shawn, Austin McMahon, Kong and Kim.
But who would be able to give Orange Cassidy this feud, turning him from long-standing indie journeyman to the top of the elite? Well, some say the cream always rises to the top, but a little bit of the bubbly tends to help.
Now, Chris, what if this? What if Chris Jericho loses to the guy that puts his hands in his pockets?
Cassidy's feud with Jericho made the fans want to see him try. Chris gave him that fire, the fire that's inside of every professional wrestler, to not just fight to fight, but to fight for a purpose.
After he and the Best Friends had been tormented by the Inner Circle for weeks, after each man was able to get a singles win over the other, we were headed towards a rubber match collision that no one saw coming. Well, maybe your aunt who started drinking at 10 a.m. saw it coming.
This is a Mimosa Mayhem match. There will be no disqualifications. countouts or rope breaks, the only way to win is by pinfall, submission, or by throwing your opponent into a vat of mimosa.
The Mimosa Mayhem match, while silly and the concept highlighted both men's juxtaposition towards each other, Jericho as the obnoxious demo god with his champagne brand and cronies. His extravagant lifestyle next to Orange Cassidy's don't care everyman appearance, these two fit together like a glove. He's appealing to children and he's appealing to adults. Compared to the looks that many wrestlers have with their extravagant hair and gear choices, Cassidy was very easy to emulate and cosplay as. As Jericho lay there, sticky in a pool of his own hubris, Cassidy left that night as a made man. With the passage of time and the lessening of pandemic restrictions, interrupting everyday operations for all of us,
Orange Cassidy continued to be a mainstay on AEW television, and during a tumultuous 2022, we were about to hit the mainstay of that year's pay-per-view schedule, Forbidden Door. Unfortunately, many of our favorites like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson were not going to be able to make the show and have such dream matches with NJPW legends. I mean, of course, our favorite lazy guy, Orange Cassidy, would be on the card, maybe in some type of battle royal, maybe he does a fun comedy match with Toru Yano, or oh, maybe Minoru Suzuki. Is that a match graphic with him and Will Ospreay?
But all it is rocket fuel for me and my future.
Will Ospreay, even before this event, had been one of the biggest workhorses in NJPW, and much like Orange Cassidy, has gotten a lot of attention online. Much like Orange Cassidy, Will Ospreay has the resume to back it up. As Ospreay and Orange began to build their feud towards Forbidden Door, we knew they would have a solid enough match on what was perceived to be a lackluster card for the IWGP United States title. But I mean, come on. It's Orange Cassidy. You all know what happens next.
Ospreay's pissed.
Ospreay's rolling eyes and said, really?
And it forces Ospreay to do something that's gonna backfire, possibly.
We've seen how these head games have been so effective in the past, and that's exactly why. Now, Kawada kicks by Orange Cassidy
With the hand in the pocket.
The United Center was electric for this mentally and physically intense bout, and we all thought for a fleeting moment that maybe Orange Cassidy could become the new IWGP United States champion. Like many before him, Will Ospreay underestimated Cassidy and what he would be able to do in the ring.
all of us that Chicago summer night actually had a thought that Orange Cassidy could dethrone this cornerstone of New Japan Pro Wrestling. But sadly, like many other of his title matches before it, our hopes were dashed by Billy the Goat, as Orange Cassidy was the one looking up at the lights that night. As the United Empire beat down on the King of Sloth Style after the match, an unlikely friend emerged with a challenge and a helping hand. Katsuyori Shibata, the Japanese wrestling legend who was thought to be retired after a deadly hematoma, had since been able to return to in-ring action, and he had two men on his list that he wanted to face in his return matches. And one of those was our jeggings-wearing prince, Orange Cassidy. If one of the most hard-hitting strong-style technicians to ever grace a ring wanted to face off against this sunglass-wearing dude, you knew there was most definitely a shift in the perception of him. Not only now were the largest wrestling audiences on board with Cassidy, but at this moment in subsequent match, he earned the respect of a lot of pro wrestling purists.
While he's never changed from the whatever wrestler persona that he is today, he started to become a legitimate threat to anyone in AEW, especially those with gold. The Bastard Pack was back to his old ways, tormenting everyone in the AEW locker room with the ring bell hammer, looking to ring some bells himself.
He has changed a bit since his last encounter with OC, not only becoming the first ever AEW All-Atlantic Champion, later renamed to the International Championship, he was also a holder of the new AEW Trios titles with the Lucha Brothers and Death Triangle. He had spent the better part of the past few months defending his newly minted singles title all around the world, as he also put on a infamous Best of 7 series with the Elite. So on that October night when he had to defend his All-Atlantic title against Cassidy, he saw it as just another day at the office. He defeated Cassidy once before, so what is stopping him from using that hammer he's been carrying around over the past couple of weeks to knock the glasses off Orange's face? Little did he know, OC has grown and changed a lot since his first encounter with the Bastard, wrestling some of the best in-ring competitors the world has to offer.
So the match was set, and I welcome you to this AEW moment that is hard to forget. Or whatever.
Cassidy kicks out. That was it. What nice duck. Here we go. Orange punch. Orange punch again. Now the bells. 2, 3.
New AEW All Atlantic Champion,
only has Orange Cassidy made All Elite Wrestling his home, he has retroactively turned the international title into the Workhorse Championship of the entire company.
With a total of 27 title defenses, he has surpassed the likes of Roman Reigns and MJF with the most title defenses of any championship in North America this year. Katsuyori Shibata, Buddy Matthews, Wheeler Yuta, Zack Sabre Jr., and Swerve Strickland. All proficient fighters who have fallen to the guy who just 4 years ago was considered a write-off comedy act. Orange Cassidy is by far the best bell-to-bell in-ring performer in wrestling today, and I am humbled and happy to say that I have been here to see his rise. While I know he won't hold the international title forever, given that the story is that his body is breaking down from all the title defenses, this has been one of the greatest title reigns not only in AEW, but in wrestling history.
As you can tell, I think the guy's pretty great, but I'll let him speak for himself.
Do you think you're one of the best wrestlers in the world?
No, not even close.
That has been the whatever story of Orange Cassidy. What's your favorite Orange Cassidy moment or match? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. This has been Extreme League Wrestling, and we'll catch you next time.